Hi everyone, just gonna get straight into the next video. In June 2007, 31-year-old Sarah Nelligan was living with her boyfriend, 26-year-old Brian McBarron, in the Winter Garden apartments, which were on Pier Street in Dublin city centre. Sarah was the middle child of 3 boys and 4 girls. Her father was world-renowned cardiac surgeon Maurice Nelligan. He was one of the founders of the Blackrock Clinic. He performed the first coronary artery bypass graft in 1975, and he carried out Ireland's first heart transplant in 1985. Her mother, Patricia, was a GP, and her parents actually married while they were both registrars in the Mater Hospital. Sarah would go on to become a nurse, so she was actually an ICU nurse in the Mater Hospital as well. And some of her other siblings also worked. It's said that 5 people out of this family were working in the hospital. It is said that Sarah had battled a drug addiction. Now, there's not a lot else on that, and in fairness, it doesn't really relate to the story from what I can tell, but it obviously didn't stop her from, choosing a career that helped others. McBarron was a labourer originally from Arklow. The couple met in Waterford. There's actually not a lot on it. I think she was on like a weekend away or something on a trip, and they met. And that's kind of all there is to their relationship until now. But it was said that friends began to suspect that he was hurting Sarah. And one of her friends, Martina Keogh, said that she actually saw bruising on her arm in May and that she told her to leave him. In the days leading up to the 14th of June, Sarah actually called Martina and said that she did want to leave him, and so it was decided that she would get the train down to Wexford, where she lived, and stay with her. So on the 14th of June 2007, at 9 a.m., Martina Keogh was waiting at the train station in Gorey for Sarah to get off. She was supposed to have taken the 7:40 train from Connolly, but Sarah wasn't on that train. So she called Sarah's mobile. There was no answer. She kept calling. And eventually at 10:26 a.m., a call came through from Sarah's phone. But it wasn't Sarah, it was Brian McBarron. He basically said that she had had like a stomach upset and she was gone to the Blackrock Clinic to get it looked at. Straight away, I kind of thought alarm bells because I was like, the Blackrock Clinic is private, you're not going to go there for just a stomach ache. But then obviously then if her dad was there, maybe she wouldn't have to be seen, this type of thing. But I still think immediately that sounds sus, and also Martina obviously thought it did. She knew her friend would never go anywhere without her mobile, so she actually phoned Sarah's mother and asked for her exact address in Dublin. Martina then rang Pier Street Garda Station and basically explained the situation, that her friend was supposed to be leaving her partner, she was supposed to be coming down to me, she didn't, she hasn't shown up. He now is answering her, is ringing back on her phone, can't get through to her, she'd never leave anywhere without her phone. So Gardaí actually arrived at the apartment at 10:50 a.m, which to be honest I thought was it was surprisingly quick. They knocked and there was no answer, so they left. Just after this, McBarron then rang Martina again from Sarah's phone and said that Sarah was in bed and she said she'd ring her when she got up. Now, again, you said at 10:26 that she was in Blackrock, which, is a bit of a distance from Pier Street. And then, like, half an hour later, she's in bed and everything. So definitely, nothing sounded right there. And Martina waited and no call came. So she rang another few times to the Garda station, and I think again they weren't really. So it said that she rang at least 2 more times. And then at around 7 p.m., Gardaí went back to the apartment. They spent half an hour knocking at the door and no one was answering. After 30 minutes, Brian McBarron answered. He told them that Sarah had gone away for a few days. The Gardaí asked to come in, explaining, that her friend was concerned. And that is when he said, "I've done a terrible thing." McBarron led the Gardaí to the bedroom. Sarah was lying on the bed, face up. She was covered in blood. Her throat was slit. She had several stab wounds. McBarron had placed like her favourite teddy in her arms. Gardaí found a noose hanging from the ceiling beside the bed. McBarron would say, quote, "I wanted to die and I wanted to take her with me." That's such a messed up statement. His mother arrived at the apartment and she accompanied him in the Garda car to the station. In the car, he said again that he had killed Sarah. He said that there was no argument or anything, that he just knew that she was leaving him, that she was going to get the train. He doesn't say how he knew this. So was it just that he was paranoid about her leaving, which can be a common kind of sign in domestic violence relationships, or had Sarah decided to tell him that she was going to get the train? Was it even, well, I'm going to go down and just visit Martina for a couple of days? And, did his paranoia just kick in then? we don't know and he didn't say. Brian McBarren was interviewed 6 times and each time he admitted to killing his girlfriend. He said that at around midnight, Sarah was lying on the couch and he went to the kitchen and got a knife. That he came up behind her and grabbed her and slit her throat. He says Sarah then got up and fought to get away from him and managed to get to the bathroom, but that he followed her and stabbed her more times in the back. She died then on the bathroom floor. He then dragged her body to the bed. He told Gardaí that he thinks he spent about an hour cleaning up. He got rid of his clothes and threw them out and then changed. He would say that he then went to a hardware store and bought, like the blue rope that like you'd make a washing line from, that he bought that rope and went back and made the noose and couldn't do it or whatever and just sat there talking to Sarah, telling her how sorry he was. Despite him saying that he cleaned up and stuff, the Gardaí said that the scene was like a bloodbath. There was blood all over the walls and the carpet. The knife that he used was still in the apartment. He said, quote, "I just went out of my mind." He was charged with murder on the 16th of June. CCTV would show the couple going out the night before. They went to the local Holiday Inn for dinner. And CCTV would catch Sarah coming back to the apartment. And this would be the last footage for her alive. CCTV later would show Brian McBarren bringing 3 black sacks, like black bags, down to a large bin. This obviously then had his clothing and stuff in it. This was recovered and had his DNA on it and Sarah's DNA. The state pathologist, Marie Cassidy, would say that Sarah had 4 serious wounds to her throat, her internal organs and arteries, and that just one of these would have killed her. When he was charged, he also said, "I am deeply sorry for what I have done." Initially, I think that he hadn't pled guilty. So, the trial did drag on, and it was only then in January 2009 when it came to trial that he pled guilty. He asked his barrister to read a statement saying, "I wish to apologise to the family and friends of Sarah for this brutal and thoughtless crime. She was a beautiful and talented young woman who had the whole world to live for and should not have died in the way that she died." He was obviously sentenced to life in prison, and he said that he hoped this would offer them some form of comfort. "I will live the rest of my life in shame and embarrassment." He apparently then said that he would gladly give his life for her to have hers back. I'm just going to read some words from Sarah's family. So they spoke about Sarah, a beautiful, kind, caring and dignified young woman. Her passing, long before her proper time, leaves us, her parents, sisters and brothers, little consolation save that of having known her. We shall take our cherished memories of her with us all the days of our lives until we meet again in a bright and happier place. So this is a case, like some I've done before, where this could have been avoided. Someone didn't have to lose their life. When Brian McBarren murdered Sarah, he had 5 previous convictions. On November 1st, 2004, barman Martin Prokopiec, I know I'm saying that wrong and I tried really hard to get it, Prokopiec. He was basically walking home in the early hours from work and bumped into McBarren on the street, so the main street of Arklow. I think they got chatting and he offered McBarren a cigarette, which he took. And as Martin then, went to walk off, McBarren demanded another one. And so he was like, no, and, continued walking or whatever. Probably even the fact that he demanded another one was probably no. So McBarren decided to run up past him then and decided to use an 8-inch blade to stab him in the face, head, neck and abdomen. He had 2 cracked bones in his eye and cheek. The tendons in one of his hands were exposed. Luckily, Martin, made a recovery, but he then left Ireland. CCTV would show McBarren to the Gardaí, who already knew him as a violent individual. When questioned, he admitted the assault. He said that he had been drinking 8 cans or 12 cans or something, and that because these were mixed with his antidepressants, it caused him to turn violent. He said that he carried that blade for his own protection and that after the assault, he dumped it. In December 2005, he was sentenced to 2 years. However, Justice Pat McCartan decided to suspend it for 5 years. So no jail time, and if he remained a good boy for 5 years, nothing. If he offended again, it was to be immediately reactivated. I need you to remember that. Immediately reactivated. His mother, Martha, would say that he was a monster with drink on him and that he hadn't been well for like 5 years. He had promised her that he would stop drinking, but she said that he was in urgent need of help. On the 15th of October 2006, McBarron was living with his partner and child in a mobile home near Carnew in Wicklow. On this night, they were out drinking. Now, I'm not sure if they were drinking at home and then went out, or if they were out in the pub or whatever. But people in a pub in Arklow said they heard screaming. And then they looked out and they could see McBarron abusing his partner and threatening her with a knife and stuff like this. So she actually ran into the pub for safety and stayed there until her family could come and get her to take her away. And it is said then she moved away with, I'm assuming, with their child. This is the only kind of mention of his child. So I think that when he meets Sarah, there is no mention. Maybe he doesn't tell her. I don't know, because again, there's just not a lot of information on their relationship. So he fled the scene here, and Gardaí would arrest him at the mobile home. So he was drunk and they charged him with possession of a weapon. At Wicklow District Court, he told them that he had a problem with drinking and that he would seek rehabilitation. So it had not even been a year since the suspended sentence was given. And so Gardaí had to go to court. So they went to court in May 2007 to apply for the suspended sentence to be reactivated. Now, as I said, immediately reactivated should surely mean it doesn't need to go through this whole process, because if it's immediately reactivated, it should be, no, we told you to stay out of trouble. You didn't. You got into trouble. And now, boom, like that, you're in prison. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be they have to wait to get to court months later for their application to be heard. And then it was adjourned till July. Sarah was murdered in June. A special memorial mass was held in the Mater Hospital with staff members and stuff like that. Sarah's father, Maurice, actually passed away in October 2010. And then his son, I was just looking it up then, so when I put in his name, so obviously one of his son's names is Maurice, and he's actually the chief of orthopedic surgeons in the Beacon Hospital. And then it also says that Lisa, a sister, is the deputy medical director of Kingsbridge Health Group. I think that's up the north. So like that, they obviously, the family were obviously they were all into, helping and caring for others and stuff. And, just, I don't know, it's just nice to know that all kind of the helping and the caring continued on. So we see this all the time with suspended sentences. I'm always giving out when I hear about suspended sentences. And I think for situations like this, it's like someone getting a suspended sentence because they had antisocial behaviour or they, were joyriding or something, that's one thing, right? But if you were already known to be a violent individual, you should not be getting a chance of a suspended sentence, because this is the risk of what can happen. And it just seems to happen all the time. These violent individuals are showing these violent traits, these violent behaviours. We need to be doing more to protect the other people around them. That is it for the story of Sarah Nelligan. Again, there wasn't a lot on it. There's not a lot on their relationship and stuff. So that's what I mean. I don't know. Did she know anything about his violent past? It doesn't seem like she did. I don't think maybe did she know about the kid and stuff like that. If the other girl just kind of fled and he wasn't kind of then involved, I suppose then you wouldn't even need to tell her. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you would think about suspended sentences. Do you think it is fair that in the first instance and stuff, they should be getting suspended sentences, even if it is for a violent kind of crime? Let me know what you think anyway. If you have any case suggestions, let me know. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. And yeah, as I said, I'm going to put this one kind of out just after the other one. So yeah, please take care. We're coming up to the weekend, so please have a lovely weekend. As I said, the live Q&A thing, it's funny, I always say I won't ramble and then I do. So I'm thinking I'm going to ask you in the last one, future me, if would a midweek kind of evening or a weekend evening do. So what I would be thinking of kind of a Wednesday or a Saturday. And I want to do it, but I'm also kind of nervous because I'm like, what if no one shows up? And then, what if there is no questions and we're just kind of sitting there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and have something more interactive. So I'm going to try and have questions for you guys, or maybe a case that I can tell you or something. I'm not really sure, but I kind of want to make it a two-sided thing, even though hopefully there will be thousands upon thousands, so it'll be a 1,000-side thing. No, but make it so like it's an interactive thing, even if it's just like me asking you questions like when I ask you here. Anyway, that is me done rambling. Please have a nice weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.